Iron is a vital mineral responsible for several critical functions of the human body. However, if you're thriving with sickle cell, you should not be taking iron supplements. That kind of sounds counterintuitive for some people who think sickle cell patients don't have enough blood, they're lacking blood, they get into a crisis, they hemolyze and stuff like that. And therefore you should need iron because iron helps to build blood supplies, something I heard when I was a kid. But I'm here to tell you that if you're thriving with sickle cell, except your doctor has prescribed iron, please do not take iron supplements. Avoid multivitamins that contain iron, and do your very best possible to take iron from food rather than through supplements. If a doctor then prescribes iron for you, it has to be because he has been able to run several tests and determines that you need iron. I usually say your doctor is the person who should be prescribing these iron supplements. Somebody who has been working with you, somebody who understands your body, somebody who has seen several complete blood count results from you, and somebody who typically knows what your own levels are, right? Is somebody who can really prescribe iron for you. Just a random doctor that doesn't really understand you or doesn't realize that you're sickle cell shouldn't be prescribing iron for you except they have run the test and determined that you do need iron. And you may ask me, what the heck are you saying? Follow me and listen very carefully. What does iron do? 70% of iron in the human body is found in the hemoglobin. That's transportation. Basically carries, oxygen from one point of your body to the vital tissues that your body requires. Iron helps in, transporting oxygen to your muscles. So if you're building muscles like me, I'm trying to build some muscles, you definitely need to have some iron somewhere there. Iron is very good for helping you to digest food, right? So that thing we talk about when we say metabolism, it helps to increase or support your metabolism. Iron is very good for your immunity support, right? So definitely you need iron in your system. However, as a sickle cell patient, you should not be taking iron supplements. Let's break it down a little bit. So think about a sickle cell patient and why we're sickle cell patients. What's going on is that you have these red blood cells that don't live as long as they ought to live. Sometimes they actually change shape from the spherical circle or the circular shape that we know to something sickle, right? Now, with all of these things that I just said, they break down very quickly and very easily. Remember my first word, the hemoglobin, which is really your red blood cells, are the ones that hold up to 70% of the body's iron. And what that really means is that once they break down, they actually release iron back into the blood system. Now, because they break down quite frequently, remember, they don't live as long as other red blood cells, they release iron back very quickly into your blood system. Now, taking additional iron supplements can easily lead to overload. What does iron store as in your body? It stores as something called ferritin. Now, when you have too much iron in your body doesn't know what to do with it, so it sends it wherever, right? The human body is so unique that it actually takes enough of everything and manages it gradually. So if your blood cells are breaking down, releasing oxygen releasing iron into your blood cells, not necessarily carrying as much to the places where you need them, because that's why we do have a crisis. And then you are now taking a tablet or supplements for iron, you are actually looking for trouble. Now, when you have iron overload, it just sounds like, what does that mean? I'll tell you. It means that there's so much iron in your body that your body doesn't know what to do with it. I'm repeating myself because it is very critical that you understand what I'm saying. Now, your body doesn't have a very easy way of sending iron out of its body. Like, it's difficult for the body to excrete iron. It's not very easy. So it just makes kind of enough for us to run with. But when you then have too much of it, the body doesn't know what to do with it. then start sending it to different parts of your body. It will send it to your kidney and you have a kidney damage. It could send it to your liver and you have a liver damage. Basically, iron is possible, it's good for you, but also bad for you in excessive quantities. For sickle cell patients, the chance of excessive quantity of iron is very high, and that's why for whatever you're doing, do not take iron supplements or multivitamins that contain iron. And you've got to actually always remember this as a child and as an adult. I believe that most adults already know this, but children, because they're in school, they're in different places, may not really understand this, or because they're not old enough. It is a responsibility of anybody who's taking care of a sickle cell patient to help them understand, ask those questions. If a doctor just randomly asks them to take iron without necessarily looking through a file, or if a doctor that they've not seen regularly or they've not been seeing regularly asks them to take iron without necessarily looking through all of their history to realize that they're dealing with a sickle cell patient. Now, I'm going to share my own personal experience with you. I've been to the hospital before where a doctor just prescribed iron, and I said to him, I'm not sure you really looked at my file. That's one really good way to tell your doctor that you shouldn't be taking iron. And he looked at me like, how dare you ask me such a question? You're the doctor. Anyway, but I couldn't care any less. So I just said to him, I don't think you've looked at my file. And he said, why? I said, because you prescribed iron. And I'm like, he was like, yeah, I think you need iron. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be prescribing iron to me. Now, when I said this, I didn't fully understand what the reasons were. But then I said to him, my doctor, who was the person I saw regularly, said I should not take iron. Now, iron can actually go into your heart and shock it. It can lead to a stroke. It can go to your brain, anywhere. That's where it sends it to. Your body can send it to anywhere that we don't really know whenever it's trying to, get rid of excess iron in your body. And that's why you shouldn't take it. So this is a very short video. It's not very long. It's just telling you that there are things that we think are helping us that are not necessarily helping us. As a matter of fact, I personally have reduced the amount of green juices I take. So there's this whole story about, take green juice, I'm like, yeah, if my body is showing me that I have excess iron through my ferritin count, which is not really, the right one, then I really should watch it. All my ferritin levels are going on. So I said it earlier on, ferritin is what your body stores iron as. Like anyone I know stores in your body as ferritin somewhat. And those are things that doctors look out for as indicators of how much iron you have in your body. So if the body is breaking down iron and storing it as ferritin, they can tell that, okay, there's a lot of iron, the ferritin count goes up, right? So just something to say that when you're looking at yourself as an adult sickle cell patient and we're thinking about thriving, you want to consider your consumption of multivitamins. To be honest, one of the easiest ways to get a little bit of your body working, or to improve, tiredness, all that stuff, or to support, building up iron in your body if you feel like you don't have enough, is diet. So liver is very, very good for building iron, specifically liver, as beef liver specifically. And then folic acid and B complex. These are things that you can actually support your, body system. So those are the two things I know. Like I said, this is never ever intended to be a alternative source of seeing a doctor. Every single time you have concerns, go to your doctor. Remember, you are your own advocate. Talking to your doctor is probably the best thing. Ask them all the questions in the world, because that's what they're supposed to do. Tell you exactly what's going on, help you understand how you can take care of yourself and treat yourself. And for you, don't add more to whatever is already going on by trying to self-help. So see you again next time. And remember, nobody should be prescribing iron to you except they are your doctors and they have reasonable grounds. They've investigated, they've done blood tests on you and determined that you do need iron. For yourself, do not take multivitamins that require iron. Now, for all of you that are watching me for the first time, there's a couple of videos that I've had on sickle cell and all of that on my YouTube page. Go ahead and watch it. And if you're not yet following me, you like what you're hearing, you want to hear more of it, go ahead, like, share. Assuming you know somebody who's living with sickle cell that needs to hear this, and subscribe. And to that person who asked me the question about iron, thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. And see you next time. Goodbye.